thing to talk about from this article, it goes into the VFX. This is a big one people have been talking about for a while. The VFX in Marvel are a problem, where there's more and more just shoddy VFX that, like, this movie cost too much. This TV show cost too much for this to look as 2005 as it does. And especially this last year, where, like, I rewatched the Transformers movies that are 15 years old, and they look dramatically better than Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. An article kind of touches on this, and the big thing that they kind of talk about is they said this: the so-called bad VFX we see was because of half-baked scripts, says one person involved with She-Hulk. That is not Victoria. That's the person that was kind of thrown under the bus for being over VFX and lost her job. That is Kevin. And even above Kevin, those issues should be addressed in pre-production. The timeline is not allowing the Marvel executives to sit with the material. So essentially, one of the thesis of this section of this about the VFX is, because there's so many projects going right now, and they're just greenlighting so many shows, the executives don't have the time to sit down and get the scripts right before they film them. So, as we've talked about in a past video, they have kind of this fix it and post mindset, where they're still figuring out the movie, they're still figuring out the flow of the story, and then after it's shot, they start trying to put it together and editing it, and they go, oh crap, it's not working. So then they go and reshoot it. But the VFX team have been working this whole time. So they made shots, and then they went, oh crap, we're not even gonna use that. We need you to do a new version. And so they're doing iteration after iteration after iteration, trying to catch up with what the current version of the script is and the story is. Therefore, despite throwing tons of money at the VFX artists and having years to work on it, it's still last minute because they're making changes so late into the process. The example given in the article is about She-Hulk, where they say, some internal sources suggest Alonso, that's the person that was over VFX, Alonso was a scapegoat to point to the She-Hulk VFX issues as a symptom of a deeper rot, namely a lack of oversight on script development. In the original arc of She-Hulk, a flashback of star Tatiana Maslany's transformation into Hulk character didn't take place until episode 8. That's the end of the season, the penultimate episode. But after Marvel's brain trust, the Parliament, watched footage, it realized the scene needed to happen in the pilot episode so the audience could see more of the character's backstory early. That meant the VFX team was tasked with fixing the mess in post-production. And because it was running week to week, that means it went from, you have 2 months till you have to have this done, or you lost 2 months, 4 weeks. It went from week 8 to week 1, 2 months lost to prep certain visual effects. And in post, you got to fix it in post. You got to take this and adjust it. That's the example given, but that's what they've been doing with everything, where they're greenlighting a script that Kevin Feige hasn't been able to spend enough time with to make it right, to make it what you want it to be, what I want it to be, to work out the kinks, to be able to figure out how it ties into everything else. And so they're making adjustments while they're filming in post-production, but it's like, people will point to, they improvised most of the first Iron Man because they didn't have a complete script. And they were winging it, like on the spot. The difference is, with Iron Man, they were trying to make one good movie with loose ties to Incredible Hulk the next month. Extraordinarily loose ties. With Phase 5, they're trying to build to an event. So everything ties together. There's all these intertwined stories, all these intertwined characters, and they're like shuffling all of them constantly up until the last minute. So it's well documented. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania changed its ending 1 month out because they're trying to figure out where we're going next. Like, they can't make up their mind. They're changing it, shuffling. We think we're going to do this. Let's change it up. That means the VFX artists are having to figure out their VFX last minute. You can throw all the money you want at a VFX artist. It doesn't give them more time. And so if you change your script right at the last minute, reshoot stuff right at the last minute, there's no time to get them right. So the article talks about when they first played Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania to a first press screenings, there were at least 10 scenes that were where the visual effects had been added at the last minute and were out of focus. 10 shots to critics with out of focus effects because they just didn't have time. It was throw it in there. Just get it in there. We gotta play it. And we got a couple weeks before public sees it. We'll put them in focus. That's bad. That is bad. But it goes back to what we talked about at the first section on here, which is there's too many things going on. Kevin Feige's spread too thin. And so they can't get the scripts right at the beginning. They don't have a clear idea of the map of where everything's headed. And they have so many moving parts that they have to keep shifting and changing and reshooting to fix a bad script. As I said, the VFX we see are because of half-baked scripts where there's dramatic last-minute reshoots. And they're just flying by the seat of their pants. Which also, why on earth was Guardians of the Galaxy so much better than everything else? Because James Gunn wrote the script 5 years ago. And the Parliament, they weren't messing with it. James Gunn's script. And so it was consistent. It wasn't last minute reshot or anything like that. He knew what he was doing, his vision for it. And so it was consistent and it worked. Most of these clips are pulled from my Patreon live streams. I do about 6 live streams every single month. For $2 per month, $20 per year, you can get access to all the exclusive videos and live streams. For $5 per month, you get your name on my end card. At the top tier, you get a 30-minute video chat with me each month. The link down below in the description has more information.